Hi guys, it's Mr. Kopitsky here. Just want to talk to you a little bit about the next part of our unit, European exploration, and we're going to start with the Spanish. So, some of you saw the video about Spain and what Europe was like in the 1400s. Remember, what the Europeans were trying to accomplish is to find an all-water route to Asia. This land over here, as far as India, as far as the Far East, was full of silk, spices, and other treasures that the Europeans craved. The main overland route went through here, through Constantinople, and now Istanbul, controlled by the Turks. And this was leveraged by the Turks. It was cut off with very high taxes and tolls. The Turks were selling the spices for themselves and not allowing the Europeans to take advantage of this old silk route, this trade route. So people were looking for a way to get to Asia. The Crusades took place, the first in 1099, and then over multiple centuries, Europeans came into contact with this region, and in doing so, there was a large rising merchant class. Tales of Marco Polo from the Far East, all this stimulated the desire of Europeans in the 1400s to get to this particular area. There were also some inventions at this time. There was a caravel, a shallow draft ship that could have ample storage and a triangle sail that could go for long distances. There was the astrolabe and magnetic compass, which allowed for better navigation. Mathematicians, map makers were pretty convinced that the world was round at this point. You know, some had the there be monsters where at the edge of the world things fell off. But people were getting the idea that yes, we could probably sail west to get to the east. So the Spanish were the first to do this, and the Portuguese had been sailing around the Cape of Good Hope in Africa and controlled the African routes. So the Spanish said, hey, we're going to sail west to get to the east. They were powerful. They had a large kingdom. They had money. And Christopher Columbus, an Italian, came to the King and Queen of Spain and said, hey, will you finance this voyage? And Isabella and the Catholic Church really convinced the king that, yeah, this was something to do. They were going to look for three main things. Gold, okay? Gold would be something that the Spanish would want. Glory, okay, which is land. Name the islands for the King of Spain. Claim them in the name of the king and make this the Spanish Empire. And God, religion. The Spanish were Catholic, and the idea of the Catholic Church was to spread the faith in the new lands and convert the natives to Christianity, and therefore increasing their power and prestige and saving their eternal souls. So Columbus made multiple voyages to Hispaniola in the Caribbean here, in Cuba, and the coast of Mexico. He continually thought that he was in Asia and called the natives Indians because he thought he was in India. And of course, it was a misnomer that is stuck for some people to this day. After Columbus arrives, the Spanish embark on a systematic colonization and conquest of the New World. The Spanish were called conquistadors. That means conqueror. This is Fernando Cortes. Fernando Cortes attacks the Mexican coast and the Aztec Empire in 1519. You can see here Cortes on the throne of Montezuma. The natives had no real resistance to smallpox, and so many natives died of disease. The Europeans brought guns, which were intimidating. They had superior weapons and steel, and they also turned some of the Aztecs' enemies against them. Fernando Cortes conquers the Aztecs. Francisco Pizarro conquers the Incas, and there's this constant wave of conquistador and exploration throughout South America, Mexico, and Central America. What happens is the Spanish set up this system, kind of like the old feudal system. Okay, so the Spanish conquistadors who conquered were given land at the behest of the king. Okay, the conquistador then controlled the Native American populations. The Native American populations were supposed to work the land for the conquistador. Okay, and in return, the conquistador was supposed to protect them militarily from harm. He was also supposed to instruct them in the Christian faith. The encomienda system, this is called, destroyed the native population in the New World. as we're going to see in a little activity we're going to do in a little while. Okay, the king actually stopped this, and priests actually started to talk out against this because it was so cruel and abusive to the natives. This is the Spanish Empire, okay, in 1600, all the way from California through the coast, down to Mexico, down to Argentina. This is Brazil here, and that's controlled by the Portuguese. So Catholicism, the Catholic Church, is a big part of the Spanish goals in conquering the New World. The Spanish set up cathedrals, large places where the bishops will control the faith in cities and large areas. But these are kind of cool. These are missions. These are like church forts that are spread out throughout the frontier. And the goal here is to have a priest instruct the natives in Christianity, but also to protect them from bandits and harm and strife, a place where they can go and seek refuge. Some of the missions are kind and helpful. Many are cruel and punish the natives and are abusive. The Lady of Guadalupe, here's the Virgin Mary, an icon in the Catholic Church, which is being represented as something that manifested in Mexico to show the natives that God is here as well, and that these images can apply to you and your world. A lot of the Spanish missions become towns you probably recognize, right? Like San Diego, Los Angeles, Santa Fe. These are all, San Antonio. These are all mission towns of the Catholic Church. Eventually, when the natives are decimated, the Spanish will start to bring African Americans in as slaves, especially in the Caribbean islands, to work places in the sugar plantations that the natives have died out. The Taino Indians in the Caribbean will be, they'll lose 90 to 95% of their population. So the Spanish start to import African slaves to work their plantations and to use as a labor source. The Colombian Exchange. We talked about this a little bit, but you can see all the different goods and services that flow back and forth between Europe and North America, right? America brings pumpkins, squash, turkeys to Europe. Europe brings livestock, peaches, things like this to the New World. This is called the Colombian Exchange, exchange between disease and goods and services, mostly agriculture and mineral products. Corn, tomatoes, potatoes, all come to Europe from the New World. The impact on the native populations decimated the natives, okay? A mestizo population emerges. So in most of New Spain, you've got a very strict class system. The Spanish on top, mestizos, a mixed between Spanish and native populations with natives and Africans on the bottom. Impact on Europe. We're going to talk about this down the road here a little bit, but look at this. Look at all the different explorers from other European countries that want a piece of what Spain has, okay? Spain is the strongest, most powerful nation in the world. They're controlling this. So the English and French will explore too, but they'll end up moving to the northern part of North America, Canada and New England. And we will meet them later in the process.